So JT was at New Mexico. Shout out the Lobos, baby. That's what I'm like. Talent
Lobos.
brews in Albuquerque, man. I don't care if anybody says talent brews in Albuquerque. The problem is not a single person stays. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Hoop Portal. Today we are back with J Rob. I'm your host, JR Laurens. I had to get that in once. I hadn't done it yet. I'm your host, JR Laurens. Jacob, how are you doing today, man? What's going on with you? What's new?
I'm great. Excited to talk some Big 12. You know, we are in agreement that it's our favorite conference to watch when it comes to college basketball. I'm still kind of an
Absolutely.
ACC. I'm an ACC guy at heart. I'm not going to lie to you. But Big 12, I think, is definitely up there with the best, and I'm excited to talk some shop with you.
I think the Big 12 is the best. I just the SEC will always be football to me. To me, the Big 12 is best. Those runs that Kansas had, that Texas Tech had when Beard was there, even the Kansas State run that they had, that stretch was so fun to watch. Houston now joining the Big 12, which to me is continually one of the best teams in the country. The Big 12 is top notch, and they apparently have the best player in the country, AJ Dybansta. So we'll see how this goes. This should really be a good, entertaining conference. We'll get right into it. Today, we're just going to preview the Big 12, our top picks, our favorite teams, teams to watch, and just some last little notes on that. For me, Jacob, I'm going Arizona 3. I'm going to take BYU number 2 because I do think they have a lot of. I am taking BYU number 2, which hurt me because that means Texas Tech was out of the top 3.
Yep.
Still big on the Red Raiders. They did lose a ton. We'll get more into that as we get there. Arizona 3, BYU 2. I think they got continuity and adding AJ Dybansta. They should be a really good regular season team. We'll see what happens in the postseason. And then number 1, I've got Houston. To me, Houston is the clear-cut cream of the crop in any conference they would go to. I would take them to win it. The only conference I might say I wouldn't know is if they went to the Big East, actually, and it was Houston, St. John's, and UConn. That, to me, is just 3 pit bull dog fights. If you could put all 3 of them in a conference together, that would be so fun to watch. But I'm going to take Houston. To me, they're also a team of when, not if. Sampson has got to break through and get this national championship. If he can do that and get that monkey off his back, I think he will go down as one of the best coaches. He's had good spells. He's gotten in trouble. He's rebuilt a program, completely started a program from new in Houston. He's literally done it all. Just get that national championship. Houston, I feel like, is a win, not if, and I'm absolutely there for that. Where are we different though? Because you gave me a nice little train sound there. When I put BYU number 2. So let's go.
I just didn't expect that you were buying BYU stock, but I get why. This is an AJ addition to a team that is already stacked, that is already a Sweet 16 team. So if he pans out to be the truth, which I believe he will be, this is a team that is going to be a dark horse candidate for the national championship. And granted, we have to get there first, right? The concept of a BYU national championship in basketball, I don't know what that does for the culture of the college sport landscape, but I get why. I just didn't think you were going to be bold enough to put them at number 2. I have Arizona 3rd, I have Texas Tech 2nd, and I have Houston number 1. So I'm going chalk in my top 3. If I can get into Tech, they're returning Christian Anderson and JT Toppin. You know, me and you are a big fan of JT Toppin's game. The 3 transfers that they're bringing in. So it's Donovan Atwell from UNC Greensboro, Tyree Bryan from Santa Clara, and then Lawan Watts, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Lawan Watts.
From Washington State. So I'm hearing great things about the 3 transfers. I think that Texas Tech has done a really good job of being such a hard team to play against, especially these last couple seasons. And I think it's well within the realm of possibility that they finish 2nd here, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do. They're definitely one of those teams that I'm looking for in terms of a dark horse candidate, not only in the Big 12, but in the national landscape as well.
They had a great run last year, too. I had picked them to go to the Final Four. I may have actually even taken them all the way to the national championship to play Houston, but they had Florida on the ropes, which is tough to say because so did UConn, so did Texas Tech, so did Houston, but Florida ended up willing those games out. But Texas Tech did have Florida on the ropes last year in the Elite 8. I actually have JT Toppin as the Conference Player of the Year lock. I think Dybansta will get Freshman Player of the Year. JT gets Conference Player of the Year. And I think JT Toppin could easily be he should be in the discussion, and I think he could easily win National Player of the Year. I'm really high on Toppin this year. Yeah. I think it's also amazing, and it shows you that there is money in Lubbock because JT Toppin is a player that could literally go anywhere in the country. There is not a program in the country that would tell JT Toppin no. So to me, the fact that he's stayed at Tech, which he's already transferred, do you know where he was at before he was at Texas Tech?
I really want to take a guess, but I don't want to be wrong.
Shout out Albuquerque, New Mexico. That man played
That's
for
right.
the Lobos, man, okay? So JT was at New Mexico. Shout out the Lobos, baby. That's what I'm like. Talent brews in Albuquerque, man. I don't care if anybody says talent brews in Albuquerque. The problem is not a single person stays. Everybody that's talented leaves. Whether you're Alfred, whether you're Patino, JT Toppin, Donovan Dent. The Lobos have been talented, okay? And they took Michigan State for a ride last year. But you know what? This is not about the New Mexico Lobos. Fun fact, though, but a lot of people from Albuquerque end up at Texas Tech. So I have a soft spot in my heart for Lubbock and West Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Back to the basketball, though. I do think JT Toppin could be National Player of the Year. I think Grant McCasland is one of the best coaches in the country. If he's able to keep them towards the top of the conference again in another deep tournament run, which I think, you're telling me you think they're one of the better teams in the conference. I think it's such a tough conference. If that they can even just finish in the top 5, I think that would be fantastic off of some of the pieces that they have lost. And one of those guys has come to NC State, and I think is going to be an absolute problem. But Grant has a national championship at the JUCO level. He had, in 2 years at UNT North Texas, a tournament appearance, and then won an NIT championship.
Yeah.
Makes the turn in year 1 at Tech, then has an Elite 8 run in year 2. Lubbock, no disrespect to you. I just went on a rant. I love you guys. I love Lubbock. I love Texas. The culture there is great. But this is a coach that if some big-time players or blue bloods open up, is a guy that I think should absolutely be in contention for some of those jobs. Okay? Relatively young. He's in his 40s. He could be a guy that's around for another 20 years, man. 20 years coaching out of blue blood. This is a guy, to me, that I think is somewhat flying under the radar if they have another run again at Texas Tech. And that's the amazing thing. They've had a span of 3 coaches now, and all 3 of those coaches have done an amazing job at Texas Tech. I don't know what they've got going on down there, but the basketball has been amazing, whether it was Chris Beard in that whole situation, even to now with Grant McCasland. They have been putting it together with basketball. Football, not so much, but the basketball program has been top-notch. One of my favorite programs in the country. I'm huge on Tech. You seem to be bigger on them than I am for this season, but I do think Grant is one of those coaches to watch. He could be one of the best coaches in the country, and I'm really curious to see how they pan out this year in another difficult, challenging Big 12 run.
I agree 100%. I'm excited to see what the Red Raiders do. Very excited to see what they do.
And when I caught, I just want to be clear. I just want to be clear.
You just had a tickle in your throat. That's all it was.
No, I was talking about Kentucky. I don't know if Mark Pope is the right guy for the job there. I think Shire is also kind of on the rocks at Duke. That's what I hear. I hear Hurley might be on his way out at UConn.
That one, it will never surprise me if Hurley could retire at any moment.
when I'm talking about blue bloods and I'm coughing, I just
was
making that point to those 3 blue bloods. I can't even think of a
about
4th one.
The DePaul Blue Demons.
Shout out Mick Cronin, UCLA.
Yeah, one of the things I had for you, Jordan, is Kansas to me is going to be really interesting this year. I think Darren Peterson is going to turn a lot of heads, and this is somebody that could be in the running for Freshman of the Year, Player of the Year. Like from all the reports that are coming out of Kansas, this is one of the better players that has come through the Jayhawks program in the last couple of years. And I know when they bowed out early in terms of their postseason hopes, a lot of people were like, well, hey, on the bright side, Darren Peterson's coming. His arrival is going to mark a really good year for Kansas. And it's just crazy to think about how this is a team that, we're under a year removed from an 11-9 conference record. And I know that's not acceptable when it comes to Bill Self and the type of program that he's built at Kansas, especially with their regular season success. So I am very intrigued for Kansas this year, and I really want to see what Darren Peterson does. I want to see if this was just a blip in the radar and this was just a stumble, or this is the beginning of the end for Bill Self in Kansas. We still have a lot to get through. I don't want to give you that clickbaity, like, is Bill Self going to be on his way out in Kansas? No, but if they have another year, alarms are going to start to go off in Lawrence. And so I'm very intrigued to see how the Jayhawks do this season.
And they've got a good non-conference. I touched on this in the ACC preview. They are playing Duke, Carolina, and NC State. They have week 1, Friday night. I will probably be at that game. Kansas at North Carolina. I think it's a huge game for both programs. Yeah. I said for North Carolina, it's a must-win, as much as you can get of a must-win in the first week of a season. Because for them, if they're able to win that game, which I think they should, because Kansas is not supposed to be that great this year. if UNC loses that game to Kansas, we'll do it on. I think the foundation completely starts crumbling from that point on. From a flip side, if Kansas is able to win that game, I think it really holds a lot off for them because most of us would expect them to lose to Duke. The NC State game is at the end of December. I think that is another game that they could definitely lose. But if they can beat Carolina, they lose their game to Duke on a neutral. I think it's at Madison Square Garden. There's more of a bump, kind of what you're talking about. There's more wiggle room to not have those conversations yet. ESPN clickbait about Bill Self being on his way out in Lawrence. If they lose that game to North Carolina, then I think it really becomes whoa. Like, what is going on here? Because then you could lose to Carolina, you could lose to Duke, and the NC State game in December becomes really, really important. Yeah. But I'm with you. I think they've had a couple of transfers that just haven't gone the way they thought. Hunter Dickinson was one I think that most people felt like it was going to be one way. I think that has been the reason there's a downfall ever since Hunter Dickinson released that stupid clip, that 5-minute thing of him pretending to be on a phone call when he was making his announcement to leave Michigan and come to Kansas. That to me was the whole downfall of it. But even some of their other transfers that have come in, they've dealt with injuries or haven't been guys that fit the system or worked out well. And that's the piece of the transfer portal. Not trying to bring North Carolina back into every single conversation, but you've seen North Carolina have a really good, what seemed to be a really good offseason setting up for a good year, completely crash and burn. Yeah. And then a transfer portal class that most people didn't think much of with Harrison Ingram, Cormac Ryan, and that team was fantastic. Underachieved, tough Alabama squad, but that team really came together. Now, to me, was one of my favorite Carolina teams I've watched in a long time. So you just don't always know in the portal. You can flip a team quick, but you can bring guys in, and it just does not mesh well. So I think Kansas just kind of missed the mark. I think Bill Self seems to be dealing with health issues. Hopefully, those are squared away and those are fixed. But so. I mean, you've coached college basketball. You're in it right now, even at the level you're at, which is, which we can say safely is not the head coach of Kansas for men's basketball. But if so, I got to start deleting some tweets. The diplomats are coming, man. The diplomats are coming.
If this was the same level, high profile, I got to start deleting some tweets.
That is a good place to start. But you even experience it and understand if you're not fully healthy and hitting on all cylinders, it's a difficult schedule. It's a difficult mentally, physically, all those things. And so I think you add that aspect of him struggling with some of those health stuff on top of being at a blue blood, on top of him. I mean, how many straight conference titles did they win in the Big 12? It was like 13 or 14 straight years of it. Yeah. There's a standard that he set, and I think at this point now he's struggling health-wise, and I think that could be a piece of it. Hopefully he's better, and he, to me, is a coach that I actually really enjoy. I think he's someone that doesn't quite get thrown in that Coach K, Coach Williams. Like, they don't always have that conversation with them, but he's right there, if not
especially better. With that 2022 championship.
That really solidified it because he did it again. So I think that I'm with you on Kansas. That they are going to be a really interesting team to watch. One team that I'm intrigued by too is Baylor. They have no players coming back from last year's group. They don't have a single returning player. What is Scott Drew able to do with this roster? It feels very far removed from that national championship. It's crazy to think about them, but it was what, 4 years ago? I guess now if we go into the 26th tournament as the next one, it'd be 5 years. But Scott Drew won a national championship. He's one of the few active coaches with a national championship. Their best player went to BYU. He's teaming up with AJ Dybansta on a team that's already set, which is why I'm really big on BYU this year, is because of the continuity and bringing those players in. I think Kevin Young is going to run a really good system too. It's an NBA system that's going to work well.
Not a team, but a player. And I watched some highlights over the summer, watched some highlights last high school year going into this year. One of my freshmen to watch is going to be Arizona's Peat, and Arizona boasts a lot of bigs. And I think him being a McDonald's All-American, he's at the forefront. And I just think that he could be a candidate for top 3 freshmen in the conference, top 3 freshmen in America. I know it's going to be hard with AJ and Darren in his
even
conference.
Just that conference is wild.
They're stacked, and historically they have been pretty good with some freshmen. And I just think now Arizona is fully used to the Big 12 as opposed to making that transition. And it's hypocritical for me to say that Arizona's used to it now. Well, so is UCLA, but I'm out on UCLA. I'm excited for what Peat has. I do like Tommy Lloyd as a head coach, and now being used to the Big 12. They have their work cut out for them. Don't get me wrong. This is not going to be as easy of a layup as coaching in the Pac-12, coaching in the WCC. This is a big boy conference. But I'm excited for the potential of what Peat and the other bigs at Arizona have. I think their front court is arguably the best front court in the conference, and I'm hoping that we get some success here in Arizona, and I think it's going to be really good for college basketball now that a certain guard is no longer with the program. I think we both can be bought in to Arizona this year.
I have no issue with Caleb Love, man.
Oh, you said his name. That's not my bad.
He
said
retired.
A certain guard.
He retired. Well, we know what you're talking about. Put some bass in your voice. He retired Coach K, man. He retired Coach K.
Hey, forever stamped.
He's a
forever stamped,
legend, bro. Like, I don't. That is a question though that is so fun to get into with my buddies, especially here at Carolina.
What if he stayed?
How do we view Caleb Love as a North Carolina player?
Yeah.
Because, it was here, but it's like his high is probably.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of winning a national, if that team had beat Kansas and just won that national championship, oh my goodness, that would have been probably the highest year of a college basketball program could ever get for them to do what they did in that situation. Well, Jacob, do you have anything else on the Big 12?
No, sir. That's all I got for you.
That is our Big 12 preview. I've got Houston winning. I'm gonna take Tech to win the conference tournament. And I'm going to take JT Toppin, Conference Player of the Year, National Player of the Year, and I'll go Grant McCaslin, Coach of the Year.
Love
Houston, though, I have as a lock to make the Final Four. I do have Houston as a lock to make the Final Four this year. Yeah. And I think they're going to be really good. That's going to be a fun team to watch. Physical. They're going to play that Samson ball. It wouldn't be a podcast with J-Rob if we didn't rage bait him. So, Jacob, how are we feeling right now? October baseball is a couple weeks away.
I'm so excited.
Both of our teams are in cheeky situations right now. We are 2 games up. You guys have a game and a half, so 1 game in the loss column. Yeah, we have 2 games in the loss column. How are we feeling about the Red Sox right now, man? What is going on in Boston? You guys have been so up and down all year long.
Season's over. No, no. No, I want them to make the playoffs. This is a team that I have not watched play in the postseason since 2021. It's been a long 4 years. I look forward to October baseball every year. I'm so excited to watch the wild card round in a couple weeks. I just want them to make the playoffs. They haven't had Roman Anthony this month. He got hurt his oblique at the beginning of the month. He's not going to be back until October if we get to October. I'm confident that we won't lose the lead to the Guardians. I'm confident. But the last 3 series we have at Tampa, and then I don't know if it's home or away, but we play the Rays and then the Tigers and then the Blue Jays. Tigers and Blue Jays.
You got Tigers at home are the final 3 games. You got Blue Jays on the road, Rays on the road.
Okay. So I just want them to make the playoffs. I don't care if it has to be at New York or if they can win home field or if they have to go play, if they're the 3rd wild card, and then they have to go play at Seattle or at Houston because – the Astros are beatable this year. They were beatable last year, and then the Mariners are definitely beatable come October. But I just want them to make the playoffs. It would do wonders for the experience of the young core. And, hey, this is a team where if they're hot, they're really hot. But when they're cold, they are abysmally cold. I cannot stress that enough. They are as cold as it gets when it's cold, but they can get hot. And you look at the NL, and we'll get to the good old Mets. NL is stacked right now. It's going to be a bloodbath to get to the World Series between the Mets, the Dodgers, Phillies, upstart Cubs, Padres, Brew Crew. And then the AL, well, it's like, are the Tigers going to, like, who in the AL, any team from the AL could come represent in the World Series. Yeah. So why not the Red Sox? But they have some pitching. They have the bats when the bats are hot. I just want them to make the playoffs.
For me, the Mets are the Mets. What they did last year, I'm straight for 10 years, bro. Honestly,
that's how I feel about Notre Dame. So go ahead. My God, last year was so much fun.
Care. I'm surprised our roster is really good, and it's not I'm surprised we're still relevant right now.
Yeah, they've just been hurt.
The Mets. I never ever go into a season and feeling like the Mets have got this. I don't think I'll ever do it. I really don't think I'll ever do it because I've seen so much pain. I've seen so much pain. They're the Mets. They're literally the Mets. And fun story, okay? If we have older viewers viewing this, which I actually did look at the stats, there's a good chunk of like 30 to 50. I became a Mets fan because of Seinfeld. So when I was in 6th grade, I didn't really pay attention to baseball. Somebody asked me what my favorite team was. All I could remember was there was an episode of Seinfeld where Keith Hernandez spits on Kramer and Newman. And to me, I was like, this is the funniest thing ever. And they kind of did a nod too to like the JFK assassination. Larry David, Jerry Seinfeld just ran numbers on that show. Greatest show ever. And so I picked the Mets. Who knew? Who knew what pain I was signing myself up
You know
for?
that Interstellar meme where he's looking back on his past self and you're like, no.
Yeah, literally. Don't do it. But at the same time, you just got to believe. And there's nowhere else you'd rather be if you're me than Queens, baby. That is what I love the Mets. I know.
They're a good
know
franchise. But they're still a good franchise. If they're
They're a
capable
fun
of pulling
franchise.
off if they're capable of pulling off what they did last year and 2015, then they can win. Like they can win.
If the Mets win a World Series, dude, it's gonna be absolute
Chaos.
bedlam. Like it's gonna be so wild in Queens. They're gonna burn the Bronx down, and I literally so there for that. But yeah, no, I think the Mets the Mets are capable. I think of a team that if the bats are hot and the pitching does what they were doing early in the season, to me they can easily win. And that's the beauty to me why I think honestly October baseball and MLB playoffs is probably my favorite to watch. Because it's just it doesn't what you did in the regular season, it just doesn't matter. It does not matter at all. It's just whoever's hot. And right now though, there's like you kind of with the American League, there's nobody really hot setting themselves apart. And then with the National League, you're like the Dodgers could do it, the Mets could do it, the Phillies could like they're the same thing could happen where it's like anybody can come out of the National League, but for different reasons. Anybody can come out of the American League, but for different reasons. October baseball is the best. It's getting chilly outside. Baby. I've got the hoodies on. I'm ready to break out the black Francisco Lindor jersey again.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so up for this.
Yep.
But we've got to finish, too. We're not in the playoffs yet. Neither is Boston. But when the Red Sox and the Mets play each other in the World Series this year, you and I are going to be at Game 7 watching God knows what go down.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Well, thank you, buddy, for being on.
Of course.
Guys, enter your name in the portal. Hit the subscribe button to enter your name in the portal. Like, turn the notification on. We have a bunch of new videos coming up. Stay tuned. And Jacob, thank you for being here today. I am your host, J.R. Laurent. See you guys on the next one.